This is Brandon Schubert from Gain Strength Training Gym. Today we're talking about scapular muscles, so rhomboids, lower traps. We're trying to activate those as much as we can in our pressing and pulling patterns to stabilize the scapula on the rib cage and to maximize force production of the prime movers. So what we're going to demonstrate today is some banded pull downs. So working with bands instead of cables. Not that everything doesn't have its place, but especially for scapular muscles, bands, in my experience, tend to elicit a better, more favorable stabilization pattern than either straight weight with barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, or with cables. Using bands allows the scapular muscles an irregular loading pattern, kind of like chaotic loading pattern. So you would see a very similar effect with a bamboo bar press or any other kind of instability movement related to bands. So bands kind of enhance the chaotic nature or the irregular pattern of loading in the movement. So your ability to dial up your motor control, the ability to create more stability in the patterns that you're doing is greater. The loading is less in some aspects, but in others it is greater. So if you're looking for, let's say, a big lat exercise, you would choose a barbell row or a dumbbell row. If you're looking to activate more scapular stability, if you're looking to create greater stabilization over the whole posterior shoulder girdle, in my opinion, the bands are the way to go. So today I'm going to be demonstrating banded pull downs, and I'm going to get into a tall kneeling position to allow my body a very, very weak position from which I have to create stability from. So if I'm already very stable, then I can stand and do lat pull downs. I can sit even and do cable pull downs. But if I'm working on creating greater stabilization and finer motor control in the posterior shoulder girdle, I'm going to want to use bands in a position where I am very, very weak and I'm not allowed to use a lot of prime movers to help me create more tension, to create more force, and thereby potentially create more imbalance. What I'm trying to do with this movement is create more stabilization, create more motor control of the posterior shoulder muscles. So I'm going to get in my tall kneeling position, and I'm going to grab my bands. I have some fat grips on here, so I still get to work on my grip. And I'm going to be working on pulling the bands down with the idea of squeezing the muscles between my shoulder blades. So my lower and mid fibers of my rhomboids and my lower traps help stabilize the scapula better than the upper portions. For most people, the upper portions of those muscles are very, very tight and very, very stiff. The lower portions are very, very weak and imbalanced. This is one exercise that, if you are strong enough to do it, could be very, very long-term beneficial for you. This is an exercise I do for myself weekly, and to work on the imbalances that I personally have. So I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to grab each set of bands here. I'm going to kneel down, and I'm going to work on squeezing my shoulder blades together as I'm under the bands. Squeeze my shoulder blades together, pull my elbows apart, and then be controlled all the way down, all the way up. You can do single-sided repetitions. You can do both at the same time. It doesn't really matter. You can do partial repetitions. The other thing you can do with bands is change your hand position as you go. There's a lot of flexibility here as far as how you personally load it and as far as how you position yourself to be most successful in targeting those muscles. Imagine trying to create more stiffness in the middle portion of your upper back than in the top portion of your upper back. If you walk around like this is going to be an exercise that will help you a lot, creating more stability, and more motor control in the mid-back muscles. This has been Brandon from Gain Strength Training Gym, and I will see you guys next time.